The 2025 NFL Draft is in the books, and by most accounts, it was a very successful one for the Seattle Seahawks. And to get some reaction, let's head into the Hawk Zone with our pal, Terry Hollimon. Hello, hello.
Hey.
You should be so proud of yourself because when you were here talking about the draft 2 weeks ago, I asked you who would be the Seahawks' #1 pick. This was your response.
There is a guy that's playing tackle out of North Dakota State that I saw. His name is Gabe Zabel. And this is a guy that plays every single position on the offensive line, but he's really projected to be a tackle. He's 6'6", 315 pounds. But again, he could play every position on the offensive line. So I think if the Seahawks got a guy like that, that's versatile, that can move around, that would be a plus.
And it is a plus. Congrats. Look at you.
There's a couple pluses there. And one of the pluses, I think I'm going to start a side hustle. I'm going to start giving fortunes and reading tarot cards on the side. Like, put a little turban on. Call me now. Yeah.
You did. I will give you a little, Gray Zabel. You might have, not fully enunciated his first name.
I did not say his name completely right, so I'll take a little hit there.
We'll take a little hit there. Yeah. North Dakota State. I think a lot of fans doubted whether John Schneider would actually pull the trigger and get in an interior lineman, but he actually did it. So what do you make of this pick?
He did, and a lot of fans were not wrong in that situation because, like I've said before, the offensive line, especially the interior offensive line, has been an Achilles heel for this team for a long time. John Schneider has not gone out and really gotten the type of help he's needed in the draft and built that offensive line through the draft. So he did it this year. He listened to the fans. He listened to us, ladies and gentlemen. Said, don't believe that your voices aren't important because John Schneider and the Seahawks listened and they went out there and got a really good one. And this is a guy, like I said, he's going to come in right away and make an impact. He's going to go right in and play on the offensive line immediately. And he has the ability to play all the positions. He's really talented.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And he's a good kid, too.
Hey, that's what we like.
He talked about like what he was going to do right after the draft. And his initial thing was that him and his buddies were going to dive into
some bush light.
When you have an offensive lineman, if I was playing football and had an offensive lineman, I want him to dive into some bush light. I don't want him like on draft day drinking champagne and popping bottles. You need to drink some Bush Light because we got work to do.
Oh, I like it. Okay, and he said he was only celebrating for 12 hours and then he was going to get to work.
That's right.
In the second round, too, the Seahawks traded up to select a South Carolina safety. What do we think about this move?
Yeah, his name is Nick Imanwuri. We get used to saying that name 12 times fast. But he is a great pickup. They actually traded up to get him. This is a guy that they wanted that's going to help solidify that defensive backfield of the Seattle Seahawks. That was already pretty good. Now, you look at this guy, fans are going to immediately begin to think of Cam Chancellor, which is an incredible guy to think about. This guy is built the same way. He's 6'3", 220 pounds. He looks so much like Cam Chancellor, Kelly, that I was watching the draft with Cam Chancellor. And Cam Chancellor
Cam is my favorite.
Me and Cam,
Hi, Cam.
me and Cam were sitting beside each other watching this kid, and he said, that kid looks like Cam Chancellor. So that's how much, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. He's going to be a great addition, and he really pledges, he's so in tune to what's going on in Seattle, he changed his profile picture to the Legion of Boom. So
we're bringing it back. Mini Cam, which you probably won't like, but I'm coining it now. Baby Cam. The Seahawks also went for a tight end later in the second round. So talk to me about this guy from the University of Miami.
Yeah, his name's Arroyo. This is a guy that is a really dynamic tight end. He's going to bring a lot of athleticism to that position. Fans that remember Jimmy Graham, he's kind of built in that mode, a taller guy. He's a guy that, as you see, does a great job making mismatches in the defensive backfield or against a linebacker. He's usually faster than the linebackers and bigger than the defensive backs that are going to try to cover him. So that's going to be great. He's going to need to work on some blocking stuff in the NFL. I think to be a completely rounded tight end, but he's an immediate weapon for our quarterbacks for sure.
Hey, we'll take any weapon we get. And in the third round, a pick that I think surprised some people because we actually went out and got a quarterback, from Alabama.
Absolutely. His name is Jalen Milroe. This kid is really special. To me, he's going to be one of the most special draft picks that the Seahawks picked up this year that we want to focus on for the future. He's a dual-threat quarterback. Not just a dual-threat quarterback. This kid is incredibly athletic, incredibly fast. You put him on the field, he's probably going to be one of the most fastest people on the field at any given moment playing the quarterback position. So immediately out of the gate, the Seahawks are going to have some packages for him to get in the game and play, because we have a quarterback in Sam Darnold that is not necessarily the most mobile guy.
Okay.
But this guy is going to be a change of pace for anybody that faces the Seahawks. He's going to be a threat to run the ball, and he also has a good arm too. And to top it off, he won the award last year in college football, which is basically the academic Heisman, the William Campbell Award, which means he wasn't only just the most athletic, but he was the most academic and showed the greatest leadership in all of college football.
That's so incredible. Intelligent, passionate, all the things.
And he plays some pretty good football.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Speaking of quarterbacks, too, we're switching gears a little bit. Talk to me about the Sanders situation here.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
That
kind
was a little tricky. So it's not a downer because he got a job. He's playing in the NFL. He didn't get drafted to where he wanted. Again, a lot of experts and a lot of pundits were thinking that he was going to be a first-round draft pick, maybe even the first quarterback picked in the draft. And he didn't get selected until the 5th round. And there's a lot of speculation whether it was his attitude. He's been labeled as arrogant and cocky. Then he has his father, who was Deion Primetime Sanders, who was very gregarious, and they'll say he's gregarious. And he invites a lot of issues when it comes to coming in to a new franchise. So we'll see. I hope he has a great career. He has the physical talent, I think, to play in the league. We'll just see where it pans out for him.
Okay. And any thoughts on the Seahawks draft overall? Can you give us a rating? How do you think we did?
Oh, man, this was definitely an A, if not an A+ for me. Ooh. And I say that because I've watched the Seahawks draft over the last decade. And every year I'm always excited, like, what are they going to do? They're going to pick up somebody great in the first round. And literally, like, 3 years out of the last 10 years, they didn't even have a first-round draft pick. They would trade it away, or they would draft somebody that you'd be like, why did they draft that guy? And then a couple of times it just never even panned out. But this year, they got the guy they wanted in the first round. They got a superb guy in the second round. And all the way through the draft, they filled out the spots that they needed. And I think it's going to be good.
Okay, well, I'm crossing my fingers because you know I'm a big fan. And what happens next, too? When did the new guys start practicing? When can we expect them? Maybe we'll walk around and see them. I don't know.
I think a lot of the guys will probably be coming into town shortly if they're not here. I think a lot of them came in right after the draft, of course, to meet the staff and meet some of the players that are here. But I think they don't have to report. I think the first day they report is May 14th. And then they have their off-season training programs, and they'll get together with some of the other rookies, and then the veterans will come in, and then they'll start working out and working through some of the plays, and most importantly, get into that playbook. People don't know, like, these guys are out there playing the game on Sundays, but their playbook is this thick, so they have to get into that immediately.
Lots of studying, and the schedule, of course, comes out May 14th. Thank you so much for being here.